Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. In today's episode, we're going to tell you all about the Disneyland Hotel coming up next. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is a special edition of the Diz Unplugged, celebrating the 60th anniversary of Disneyland. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disneyland vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined by an awful lot of people, the most we've ever had in the studio. Jenny Lynn Knopp.
Hey, guys.
From the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged, Mr. Tom Bell.
Hello.
The lovely and talented Kathy Werling.
Hi, everybody.
Also from the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged, Michael Bowling.
Hey there, hi there, ho there.
And of course, Corey Martin.
Just happy to be here.
Oh, we're just on a theme this week, aren't we? And back in the production nook, our associate producer, Craig Williams, along with producer Dustin West,
Hi.
the lovely and talented Will Perry,
Hello.
and back in the corner, because nobody puts baby in the corner, Rhino Clavin. So we are talking today about the Disneyland Hotel. By far, my favorite Disney hotel of any that I have ever stayed in. I've stayed at all the ones here in Orlando. I've stayed at all the ones out in California, and I've stayed at the Disneyland Hotel in Paris. And I can tell you unequivocally of those experiences that the Disneyland Hotel in California is my favorite. And there's a lot of reasons for it that we are going to get into. But before we do that, we're going to give you a little overview that Craig has put together of the Disneyland Hotel. right. Makes me want to go back.
Makes me want a steak. I can't get that steak out of my head.
That's such a great restaurant, Steakhouse 55. All right.
I want to drink.
Well,
Trader Sam's.
well, it is 8 o'clock in the morning for you, so I mean, just so everybody understands,
It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock in the morning for you. So everybody understands, we're recording. It's right now 8:45. We've been here since 8 o'clock this morning. We're pre-recording these. Obviously, we can't do them live, but we have 14 shows in all going up this week. So we have to pre-record all of them in the course of about 3 days. So if there's some continuity issues with these shows, please forgive us. We're doing our best. But
If we're wearing the same shirt in 5 episodes.
yeah, exactly. Well, 4 in this case, unless you come tomorrow in the same clothes, which is not out of the question. So let's just talk a little bit about the Disneyland Hotel. This is obviously one of 3 hotels at the Disneyland Resort, alongside Paradise Pier and Disney's Grand Californian Resort and Spa. And this is the original. This is the first Disney hotel ever built. It's undergone some changes over the years. I'm going to talk about that a little later on. But it is located kind of in the middle of the, Paradise Pier is kind of off by itself. Grand Californian is right next to California Adventure. It's the closest one of the 3. But how long would you say the walk is from Disneyland to the park? About 7 minutes?
Yeah,
About 10.
10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's through downtown Disney. Cuts right through downtown Disney. And so it has a great location, but it has a charm all of its own. It has a charm unlike any of the other Disney resorts, either there in California or certainly out here.
Right. As I was looking at the video, I was trying to think of how to describe the Disneyland Hotel. Elegant Mickey?
Elegant Mickey, yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's just, again, it's very steeped in its history.
Yeah.
And that is, for me, I think, one of the driving factors, other than the rooms,
Right.
which I think are just magnificent. We're going to talk about that in a little while. But let's talk a little bit about the history of it. Of course, Michael Bowling, our resident Disney historian, member of the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged, and really happy. This is Michael's first time here in the studio.
It is. I'm in the Diz Vatican.
The Diz Vatican. He says, "What part of you do I kiss?" Like, your wife is here. Chill out. So why don't you give us a little history? You've had the pleasure, actually, of speaking with Don Ballard. You've interviewed
Correct.
Don Ballard for the show. And for those of you who don't know, Don Ballard wrote just an incredible history on the Disneyland Hotel. It is my favorite Disney book. Mm-hmm. And I have gone through it. I can't tell you how many times. He includes so many pieces from like the early days, like the advertisements from the 50s and the menus from the restaurants and all these little things that you would have thought had been lost to time.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible book. We'll make sure there'll be a link in the show notes page for this to that book so you can pick it up. And, of course, everything that we talk about in the show, disunplugged.com, our show notes page. But let's talk a little bit about the history of the resort.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Walt always intended to have a hotel built at Disneyland. He felt the success of Disneyland wasn't in the day guests just coming, staying for the day, and leaving. Remember, there was nothing in Anaheim at this time. He felt for his park to be successful, there had to be a hotel where people would stay for 2 or 3 days. But they were tapped out financially. I mean, they had sold everything in order to build the park. I mean, Walt even, he even turned in his life insurance, borrowed on that to build Disneyland. So they had nothing. So they put out a proposal for bids, people to bid on building a hotel. And Jack Rather came in rather late into the game. He was a Texas oil wildcatter, but where he caught Roy Disney's attention was through television, because Jack Rather also owned popular television shows at the time: The Lone Ranger, Lassie, and then Sergeant Preston of the Yukon. And, of course, Walt was a pioneer in television as well. So they met Jack Rather. Jack Rather, like Walt, was also extremely innovative. Walt wanted an upscale, comfortable hotel. And so together they formed a deal. Out of the acreage that Walt had bought, some acreage was set aside for the hotel, and it was a long-term lease over to the Rather Corporation, and they started building the hotel. And it was Jack Rather was as innovative as Walt was. This was the first hotel that was built with rooms that accommodated 4 people. It had facilities for families, facilities for children. He built convention and meeting facilities. So for the first time, when Father went off to a convention or a meeting, he could now bring the family. And there were things for the family to do, and also they had Disneyland.
And that was
right next
unheard of
door.
in those days when
It was.
people would travel to do conferences, where it's a lot more common now. But that was unheard of in those days.
Right. Exactly. Because Jack Rather's second wife, Bonita Granville, was an actress, they had a lot of connections in the Hollywood industry. They knew how to cater to the celebrities and the privacy and level of service that they needed. So the Disneyland Hotel attracted a lot of the Hollywood movie stars at the time. So for the Disneyland Hotel was the place to go for decades. And any time that there was growth at the Disneyland Hotel, if they were adding things, Jack worked with Disney in order to bring innovations to the hotel. They were the first ones to have color televisions in every room. I mean, things that we consider standard today were started at the Disneyland Hotel. The first in-room televisions, the first they had facilities for barbers and beauty shops, first-rate restaurants, a whole shopping arcade. Things that only the finest hotels had in their day, and they just set the standard for everything. When Disneyland expanded, the hotel expanded. The hotel that we know today started because they weren't keeping up with the number of people that wanted to stay there. They also needed to double the size of the hotel to remain profitable. And Jack was driving through Los Angeles one day, saw a sign for a hotel going up, and it was going to be a tower. He stopped immediately, went in, talked to the foreman, and found out about this and said that's where we need to go. And so what we now know as the Adventureland Tower, the Adventure Tower, that went up, and that was the start of all of the towers that we know today.
Originally, the rooms at the Disneyland Hotel were almost like motor-inn style.
It was
they were
motor-inn.
Exterior entrances, and extended out originally where downtown Disney is right now.
Correct. Right. It went all the way out to where the monorail station is. The monorail station never moved. But when you got off the monorails, there were the shops right there. There was an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And then you walked to, there were all these small 2-story structures, 2- and 3-story structures that were referred to as the garden rooms, because every garden room had either a patio or it had a balcony and also the landscaping was very tropical. It was very lush. Again, a standard that Disney started for hotels was having this beautiful landscaping and beautiful lighting, and so it was all of these small 2- and 3-story motel-like structures, but again, very comfortable, very innovative, and but gave you that privacy that people wanted. Many of the restaurants there just live on in memories. I mean, the Monorail Cafe, people love. When that was finally demolished for the expansion of downtown Disney, it was people really bemoaned that one. The coffee house that is still there is one of the original shops.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was almost there from the very beginning. It's moved around a bit, but there was always a coffee shop. And, Granville's, when that was built, that's now Steakhouse 55. It was named after, Bonita Granville.
Jack Rather's wife.
Right. So, unfortunately, as time went on, and, Walt Disney always said that because Jack really helped them out when they needed the hotel built, Jack Walt always told everybody in the company, just lay off of Jack Rather. Don't try to take over that hotel. Don't do anything. But Walt passed away, and Jack still had a good relationship, but unfortunately Jack had several battles with cancer. And so when Michael Eisner and Frank Wells came on the scene, they were very interested in acquiring the Disneyland Hotel property. And Jack was in very ill health, but there was a recession at the time. The Rather Corporation was going through some financial difficulties. They were selling off some of their properties, including their television rights to the shows I had talked about. They were all in syndication. So he was entering a deal in order to sell the hotel, and then Jack Rather passed away. And so the Disney company decided to back off for a little while. Jack's youngest son, Christopher, who never intended to run the family business, had to do it. Unfortunately, Jack's oldest son, who was groomed to run the business, committed suicide. And so Christopher had to run it. And Christopher has referred to this as some of the worst period of his life, and because it was right when the oil embargo started, and just the economy was bad, and unfortunately the Disneyland Hotel was starting to it was in need of renovation. There were weeds in the landscaping, the rooms were dated, and and Michael Eisner became alarmed by this because even though they didn't own it, it had the Disney name on it, so it reflected on them. And so it became his mission to purchase this hotel. And so the Rather Corporation was preparing to sell it, but they weren't ready to. And Michael Eisner played hardball with them, including the licensing agreement for the monorail was coming up for renewal. And Michael Eisner threatened that because Rather Corporation was threatening to sell to a third party. And it was an international company, which meant the name was going to go to another company, and they intended to sell the name and build Disneyland hotels.
Well, because part of the deal that, if I remember reading correctly, part of the deal that Walt gave Jack Rather was not just the rights to build the Disneyland Hotel there in Anaheim, but the rights to the name Disneyland Hotel to build anywhere he wanted.
Right.
So he could have built Disneyland hotels all over the country with that name and no direct connection to a theme park.
Right. And Jack chose not to do that because he felt that the hotel had to be connected to the park. And so, and that was another reason that
whole
Walt
different era of doing business.
Oh, exactly. And so Michael Eisner threatened that there would be a rental fee for the use of the monorail, a maintenance fee that would be about $10,000 a day, so roughly. And the Rather Corporation realized this would make it impossible to sell the hotel. So they finally did enter into an agreement to sell the hotel, and so finally it joined the Disney company.
And then I think it was 1999 when they started demolishing the original portion of the hotel that we were talking about earlier. And then when was it that it went through its complete renovation with the pool, the rooms?
Just a few years ago, yeah.
It was just a few years ago that finished. And, what I noticed is that that renovation seemed to say, okay, the Disneyland Hotel was still kind of in flux from what it had been to what it was becoming under Disney's ownership. And that renovation, when they redid the pool and they redid, they added Trader Sam's and Tangaroa Terrace.
They let the Imagineers go crazy.
They let the Imagineers go crazy. And I'll tell you something, you want to see what a hotel can be when you let Imagineering do what it's meant to do. The Disneyland Hotel is it. I want to talk a little bit about the rooms at the Disneyland Hotel because it's one of my highlights. It's one of my favorite things about, on average, 425 to 450 square feet. For these rooms, they are large rooms because they were built back in a day when that was the standard size for a hotel room, not 325 square feet, which is what you get down the road at the Grand Californian, which is one of the things that annoys me about it. But these are just elegant rooms. These really deep, rich blues in the carpet, the blue and gold in the carpet. There's a headboard attached to the wall. It's a solid wood headboard with a carving depicting Sleeping Beauty Castle. And it's got a nice little touch, little fiber optic touch. There's a switch on the nightstand on the lamp that if you switch it, it plays a little Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, and lights go off all around the headboard in the castle. Really cool touch.
It's Kathy's favorite thing.
It is.
Yes, I recorded that. I want that in my bedroom at home.
They call that the kiss goodnight.
Right.
And the appointments in the room just feel elegant without feeling stuffy. You don't feel, you feel very warm. It's very warm. It's very welcoming. The designers did an incredible job with these touches. And, really, with a lot of times, a great hotel room comes down to the details. The details, not just of the color schemes and things like the headboard, but those little pillows, those little throw pillows that say, one of them says, a dream is a wish, or
A dream is a wish your heart makes
when you're fast asleep.
Even the touches of Mickey in the room are done so elegant, like Mickey's hand holding
the lamps.
the lamps, and like just the Mickey head on the tub.
Oh, right on the handles.
Yeah, it's all done very classy.
The rooms are divided up into a few different views. You have a standard view, which is a parking lot, basically a parking lot view. The deluxe view, which is a pool view, and a premium view, which is usually a downtown Disney view, which are my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get upset if I get a pool view, because that pool is
Pretty impressive.
amazing. During the Disneyland Hotel video that Craig put together, you see a time lapse that was actually taken from our room of the pool. That was the view. It was done at night, and most incredible thing to sit and look at. And for those who are watching, great picture that was taken from our room. So, kind of get an idea of this, the beautiful view of the pool. Of course, if you have a downtown Disney view, you also have a fireworks view. Because when the fireworks go off at Disneyland Park, you can see them from those rooms. So that's a nice touch. Club level is available to Disneyland Hotel, as it is at all three of their properties. Their standard view in a club level is a pool view. Premium view is the downtown Disney view. You can expect to pay anywhere from a $200 to $300 a night premium for a concierge room. There is one of the best lounges of any hotel I've ever stayed in terms of club level, and it's in the Adventure Tower,
Yeah.
and it's up at the very top. Has a sweeping view of downtown Disney and the theme park, like we do out here. When any of the concierge lounges has a view of the fireworks, they lower the lights, pipe the music in, and you can watch the fireworks from there. It's a really cool experience. But a standard room at the Disneyland Hotel is going to run you between $300 and $500 a night, depending on the season. As I said, for concierge for club level, you can expect a $200 to $300 premium on top of that. And then, of course, there are the suites. And there are 1, 2, and 3 bedroom suites that are available that are not themed. They're beautiful, very, very comfortable. I was in one. I was in, what did they call it? It's like a princess suite or something. I don't know. But it was absolutely beautiful. It was a nice one-bedroom suite. And these range anywhere from $700 to $1,200 a night, depending, again, on time of year. Those suites, the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, are not club level. It's important to note. Most Disney hotels, if you're in a suite, you're automatically in club level. That is not the case with the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom suites. You can get them with club level access, but it doesn't come part and parcel. However, one of the things we got to experience on this trip, which was a highlight for me, was the ability to see some of the signature suites that are available at the 3 hotels. And we got to see one in the Paradise Pier. We got to see a couple at Grand Californian, and we got to see a couple at Disneyland Hotel. So Dustin has put together a video of the various suites we saw at the 3 hotels, and this is one of my favorites. So let's go ahead and play that.
Oh, you can. Oh.
Oh, those.
We were engrossed.
We were absolutely engrossed. We were not ready to come back.
And I forgot when the video ended. And I'm like,
Now,
oh,
for those of you who are listening and not watching, all of these videos that we're playing during the show are available on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WDWinfo. And of course, links to them are going to be all over the Diz as well, so you can go and watch them. And I highly recommend that you do. These videos were put together specifically to be part of this content, and they all really kind of punctuate what we're talking about. And so, like, watching Craig's Disneyland Hotel overview is really going to help you get context for the things that we're talking about here in the show, and talking about the suites. I don't think anybody else has the collection of videos of the suites like this, because we had six of them in there. I think.
Yeah, that's right.
So, really cool. Great job on that.
Thank you.
So, let's talk about some of the resort highlights, some of the things about this resort that we really we love. Of course, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the pool, the monorail slide, the old Disneyland Hotel sign that sits above it. It's just one of those things that, even though I'm not a pool guy, I'm not going to sit out at the pool. I love looking at this pool. I love looking at the view that we're showing on the screen right now. That's the monorail slide.
Yeah.
And it's just the coolest thing.
And that exists in what other hotels would have is like a splash zone or like those dumping buckets and stuff like that. This is only one portion of the pool. It's very shallow. It's mostly a puddle, but then this awesome slide that you see a lot of young kids go. I'm not sure if adults are allowed or not.
They are.
Beyond
They
that,
are. Michael's done it.
I've done it.
Okay.
He pushed children out of the way.
But again, that's just one portion. There's 3 other portions to the pool, plus I think 2 hot tubs.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's massive. It takes up that entire courtyard area in between the 3 towers.
Now, back in the day, that was a marina.
Right. Yeah. That's gone through a lot of different changes, but it was a marina. Jack Rather wanted something unique and different in the hotels. Everybody else had pools and beaches and all of that. So he made a marina in there. It ultimately was called Seaports of the Pacific. There was a shopping area. It reminded me very much of almost what became downtown Disney and the Polynesian. There was a international bazaar. There was a little place where you could have paddle boats. You could rent them and go on them. They had remote controlled boats,
remember
including
those.
the Queen Anne was there was a remote controlled Queen Anne ocean liner. You could even go there and look at yachts and speedboats. They were on display. There was an airplane. To fit in with that motif of the tropical seaport, they had to close down the freeway to land the airplane, and then they had it trucked over and placed in a Disneyland hotel.
Wow.
There were restaurants. They had the very first video arcade anywhere in the United States was at that seaport. They had our precursor to World of Color. There was a dancing water show. The stage is still there, off in the corner. But it was a dancing water show with lights and synchronized water and music. There was the world's first laser light show was also part of that expansion. It just went on and on. And he also had a walk-in Caribbean beach white sand pool.
It doesn't seem like it would fit. But you're talking about all these big things.
This harkens back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. The book by Don Ballard shows the pictures and tells the story of how the resort started and all of these things that Jack Rather added and these innovations, and complete with like the original advertising for the hotel and all these cool little things that you just thought would have been, like I said, lost to time. That's why I recommend this book so highly for any Disney fan. It's a great history.
I was going to say, I think that one of the things that makes this resort so special is that even though it's gone through so many changes, it's always, I guess, been able to still capture the essence of what you find in Disneyland Park. And there is no other Disney resort that captures a park quite the way that this one does. Not so directly. Down to, we were talking about the pool a minute ago, and it so clearly looks like the monorail. But then just the resort in general, it had me the minute I stepped into the lobby, and it had the teacup seating area.
Yes.
Like the Mad Hatter Tea Party attractions. You see the attractions reflected throughout the entire resort. We've got the Adventureland Tower, the Frontierland Tower, and then the Fantasyland Tower. The gift shop is called, it's a small...
Fantasia.
Yes, and then they've got the Small World Sundries, and just the whole thing reflects the experience that you have with the attractions. Trader Sam's, it's like Jungle Cruise meets Tiki Room.
It's a great way to put it.
It's an incredible place to be. You want to talk about carrying over your experience in the park for 24 hours. This absolutely is the hotel that does that best, I think.
I think maybe that's one of the reasons I love it so much, is that I hadn't even thought about it like that. But that's such a great observation, because it's absolutely true. It is this integration with the park in a way that I don't think any other Disney hotel does. I have no trouble criticizing Disney hotels. I really have never found a reason to criticize this property. Now, with that said, there was something I meant to do at the beginning of this that I did not. We are not going to be doing reviews of these hotels. That's because we were given consideration by Disney. They helped us out quite a bit in terms of the rooms to do this. And so I will not actually, quote unquote, review a property if I didn't pay for it. So I'm sharing the information that we have and our opinions on it. This is not a review, this is an overview. But I like to have full disclosure with that. I don't want to make it sound like, I had 10 people out there. And so I did reach out to Disney and say, hey, want to help us out? And they did go around with us. All the filming that we did in the resorts were done with a production crew that Disney sent with us. I mean, we did all the filming, but they were there to help smooth the way. And I got to tell you, they were the most amazing team of people to work with. They were so great. They let us go wherever we want. Anything we asked for, they set it up for us. And being able to get those suites, we never would have been able to get those suites. They set that up for us. So we did work very closely with Disney on this. And so I meant to say that at the very beginning of the show, but I want to make sure I get that in here now.
I wanted to just mention, as a Disney fan, Jenny Lynn touched on it a little bit, but when I walked in the lobby, I made a point every morning of going down to the lobby and just sitting there and listening to the music and just watching what went on and watching the characters come through, because
incredible, isn't
out
it?
there, they don't have a handler with them. And to watch them come through, and Mickey just comes strolling through, and people run up to him and stuff. Just, the music, I spent some time in each one of the buildings just sitting there listening to the music and how the music worked with the theming of that tower. And it was just, there was just so many details. It's like your mind was on overload for all the things that they put in each one of the towers. Those elements in particular, it's just, and it happens every time I'm out there. Mm-hmm. At some point in time, I'll be out in front of the hotel. Usually it's having a cigarette. And invariably, a character, Goofy will walk out.
And what other resort does that ever happen?
Doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
It's the characters are at the resort, and there's no line.
No.
And you're not paying for a all-you-can-eat buffet in order to get that interaction.
Exactly. Although, honestly, if you do want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet to get that kind of character interaction, Goofy's Kitchen, also located at Disneyland Hotel, is a great place to do it. Phenomenal breakfast. I've had some great meals there. We do it every time that we do the Adventures by Disney Backstage Magic. We head over to Goofy's Kitchen, and I find, and I don't know if it's just me, but I find the level of character interaction in Disneyland in general, not just at that hotel, definitely a couple of notches higher than what we get out here.
Agreed.
I think again, I've talked about it on shows before, the talent pool that they have to draw from, being so close to Hollywood and Los Angeles, and so many actors and entertainers that are out there trying to make their way. And, the stories are legendary of actors and entertainers who started at Disneyland. Steve Martin worked in the magic shop on Main Street. Sharon Stone was Mickey Mouse at one point. Did you not know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Sharon Stone was Mickey Mouse.
She was a friend of Mickey.
A friend.
No, okay. You don't want to kill the magic for anybody.
Spoiler.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse starred in Basic Instinct.
Yeah. And then cross your legs.
Yeah, cross your legs. So, the talent pool that they have out there, I think, is just, generally speaking, not that we don't have some amazing talent out here. We do. I'm not saying that we don't. But I just think there's a lot bigger pool to draw from. And Disneyland certainly benefits from that. And I see it in the character interaction. Some of the best experiences I've had with characters have been out there.
The street musicians at Downtown Disney.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was
Right?
Yeah,
Amazing.
You can tell there's a lot of talent there.
Amazing. Another highlight of this resort that I think we can all get behind, Steakhouse 55.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite restaurants. It's a staple. Every time I'm out there, I have to eat there at least once. Our first night we were out there, all of us had an amazing dinner.
Oh, yeah.
At Steakhouse 55. And of course, my good friend over here, we can just call him Marrow Sucking Corey. Because they...
Do we have a picture of that?
Yeah, really. All of the, I think most of our meals came with like the bone and the marrow. They do that thing. And
With the little
all of us
spoon.
were completely repulsed by it, with the exception of Corey Patrick Martin, who will eat anything you put in front of him. And I'm pretty sure it was like 7 things of marrow.
It was wonderful.
It
really was wonderful.
So
I handed that straight to you. No way, Jose.
It was like meat pudding.
I tried it. Wow, what a great
That makes it better.
appetizing meat pudding.
Before we came out here to Orlando, Carol and I were at Disneyland. We flew from kingdom to kingdom, but the morning of our flight, we had breakfast at Steakhouse 55.
Great breakfast.
Excellent breakfast. Very different ambiance because it's a little more formal. Carol had the largest omelet I have ever seen in my life, and then I had the eggs Benedict because
They make
that's
the
one of
best
the
eggs
things
Benedict.
they're
Yeah.
That is my
for.
thing. Every time I have breakfast
the
there.
service was impeccable. Food was excellent.
Coffee's incredible.
Yeah, it was
And
well
the-
worth it.
The great thing is you're not paying a premium price.
No, you're not.
No.
And that's one thing that got me is that
I mean, you're going to pay the same thing as what you would pay at Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah.
I mean,
It seems like a hidden
and a
gem,
much
too.
yes,
it is a hidden gem,
yes.
and a lot of people don't go there for breakfast, so it's never a problem to get in.
Yeah.
And it's not crowded, and the service is amazing. Prices are really reasonable. It's it's an absolute hidden gem. But I think our favorite place, bar none, hands down, at the Disneyland Hotel, Trader Sam's. Mm-hmm. Trader Sam's. It is pretty much, if you can't find any one of us, just go to Trader Sam's, because that's where we're going to
Trader Sam's is the lobby of the Disneyland Hotel.
It is.
It
yeah,
kind
it
of
feels like it.
is. It's
Yeah,
the
in a
second
way,
lobby.
it is. It's second lobby. That's a good way to put
It's
it.
just where you kind of gravitate.
Most people
towards.
don't hang out in because there's 3 different
Right,
lobbies for the
yeah.
3 towers. Everybody hangs out at Trader Sam's.
Yeah, and Trader Sam's is connected right next door to Tangaroa Terrace, which is their quick service restaurant. Also very, very good. The food was tremendous. This is the stuff I paid for, so I'll talk about what I thought of it. And it was excellent food especially for quick service. And I think what they've done with Captain Cook's at the Polynesian is very much along the same lines. Different food, but I find the food at Captain Cook's to be very good as well. Great counter service. Disney has really upped their game with counter service, especially out here. And then you see something like Tangaroa Terrace. But Trader Sam's is part of some of the 2 of the designers that helped with that are good friends, Kevin Kidney and Jody Daly. And for those of you who are fans of the old Adventurers Club at Downtown Disney here in Orlando, you'll be happy to know some of those elements, some of those items made their way into Trader Sam's. And it's always fun to go in and see if you can spot which ones they are. But lots of specialty drinks, just like the one that we opened out here. And I still haven't been to the one we opened out here. But this is the original. This is the original.
You know, it's not very big. If you have 3 or more people, chances are you're going to be sitting outside because it fills up pretty fast in there. That's where we kind of met most of the time. We were outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, we sitting outside.
I liked it outside. Yeah.
Well, they have entertainment out there on the weekends.
Also, the weather's just so nice out there that it's much more relaxing to sit outside anywhere at Disneyland than it is in the Florida heat and humidity.
Yeah, depending on time of year,
Yeah.
sure.
The way I like to do it, if I were by myself, instead of getting a waitress or a server come to your table, sit outside, but then just go order in the bar so you can still have that experience, of going in and seeing the bar.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when there are certain drinks that things happen when you order them. So,
and if you want to people watch, it's a great place. But because, like Tom said, that's sort of the lobby of the Disneyland Hotel, you never know who's going to be there. I've seen John Lasseter there. I've seen Tony Baxter there. I've seen, people that, luminaries of, well, who hasn't seen Bob Ward's The Party Girl there? But, anybody from Disney Imagineering to the executives. I think I've pretty much seen all the main characters there. I haven't seen Bob Iger there, but it's a fun place to go and just see who's visiting Disneyland today.
And we
from
got
the company.
recognized while we were sitting there.
several times we were stopped by listeners and viewers, which was really cool. That always makes me feel good when we're not in Disney World and folks stop us. It's happening a lot at Universal. We go to Universal. Happened a lot while we were out in Disneyland, which is really, really cool. And that's why we tell people all the time, you see us, come up, say hello. We absolutely love it. You're not bothering us. Well, most of you are. Some of you are a little weird.
And you know who you are.
You know who you are. What else? Is there a highlight that I've missed here? Is there something that we want to make sure before we wrap up that we get out about the Disneyland Hotel?
I think Kathy talked about it. It's just all the details in the lobbies, in the convention center area. There's that huge display of
that massive shadow box with all the old
memorabilia
toys and memorabilia.
toys and name tags and pennants and maps, and you'd spend hours just looking at that.
Yeah. Well,
Are there still things on the second floor, Michael? The blueprints or something like that up in the...
I haven't been up there to see.
Okay.
But yeah, I wanted to bring up the fact that, and Jenny Lynn brought it up too, is the history that they're tied into. You walk in and there's that huge map of a fun map from 1966 that's sort of interactive in a way. And I know we had it in the video. But all the photos of celebrities that have visited the hotel, the memorabilia wall. In the lobby, just as we talked about how each tower represents one of the original realms of Disneyland, in the Fantasy Tower, there's the teacups, but there's also concept art from the original park that John Hench and Herb Ryman drew, that adorns the lobby area. If you go into the Adventure Tower, there's maquettes and concept art of the animals for the Jungle Cruise. You go into the Frontier Tower, there's Tony Baxter's scale model of Big Thunder Mountain Railway for Disneyland, as well as, again, concept art for the original Frontierland. And then, of course, the pool that Pete spoke about is the realm of Tomorrowland. So all the 4 original realms are represented.
And as I said in the beginning, this is what happens. This is what you get when you let Imagineering do their thing. You get a hotel that is absolutely modern in its services and its amenities while paying respectful homage to its history and its origins. And I can't think of a better way to end this than on that note. So Disneyland Hotel, my favorite hotel of all the Disney properties. And if you are planning to head out to Disneyland for the 60th anniversary, which I strongly encourage you to do because a lot of cool stuff is coming, the stuff we're talking about all week this week, then consider the Disneyland Hotel. I think a lot of people gravitate to the Grand Californian because it's the best. And there's a lot to love about the Grand Californian. It's not my favorite, but I know a lot of people love it, and I take nothing away from that. For me, it's all about the Disneyland
Hotel.
Hotel.
Save a little bit of money and stay at the Disneyland Hotel.
And sometimes that's as much as $200 a night.
Yeah.
Cheaper to stay at the Disneyland Hotel. So, all right, that is going to do it for our discussion on the Disneyland Hotel. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with you again next time with another edition of the Diz Unplugged. Thanks for being with us, everyone, and remember, go to Disneyland.